This is the third quarterfinals that's being played in the NSSL between Fububu and DruidzPatjuh. Only one of these players will advance to the next to the semi-finals that are played live. So there has never been so much at stake as in this game. So I wish both players good luck and have fun.
Yes, and here in the bottom right we have our yellow player, Fububu, our Terran player. And in the bottom left of Entombed Valley we have DruidzPatjuh. This is Entombed Valley. One of the things to note about this latter version of the map is that there are no depots on the bottom of the ramp, so bunker rushing in Terran vs. Cirque is definitely much stronger than on maps that don't have it. Also, it doesn't have a forced cross spawn like, for example, the GSL and the ESL versions of this map have, which tend to force, well, a much more macro-oriented game. It's much harder for one player to make one push all the way across the map towards their opponent. The distances are just much smaller, and it creates a much more tense situation. One thing about Patjuh is that I checked his profile before the game started, and he's actually in Diamond.
Oh.
Fububu is in Masters, top 25 at this moment.
Oh.
So I'm actually very curious to see how this is going to go.
Well, I know that Patjuh has multiple accounts, so
okay.
So he might be Masters on another account.
Yeah, I asked him in the chat, like, did you get a new account? Because he only has 176 wins on it, which I find a bit unlikely. I mean, seeing as Fububu had like over 2,000 wins on his. Yeah.
Yeah, still only 160. For me, that's like a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now for a Terran player, he's throwing down an early, well, somewhat early depot at his wall in. Just to hide, his information. Oh, it looks like Patjuh thinks this isn't the ladder version because he's scouting cross map first.
Yep, he is, but I think there might be something to it because if you scout that way, you pass the watchtower automatically, and perhaps you can find your opponent. But of course, if your opponent knows that it's not fixed cross spawn, he will not be passing through the vision range of the tower anyway.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So far, we have also a very early second gas for Patjuh, which gets scouted by Fububu. So this might be a fake out, like he intends to kill the JCSV with the Zealot that's about to pop out of his gateway and then just cancel it, but looks like that's just not going to happen because the simulator is going to finish.
Yeah.
So far the build for Fububu is very standard, just throwing down his command center for a 1 Rax fast expand in his main. Nothing deviant so far, but I'm curious to see as to what Fububu is going to do. He's only put 2 probes on this gas, as well as the other, and this is actually an interesting move because it's more efficient to put 2 probes on each rather than 3 on 1.
Yep.
And yeah, now he's gonna send his Zealot out in the middle of the map. Just
it kind of looks like what I did in my games against IsNoBest, where I went for this kind of style, took 2 gas, and then added 2 more gateways and did a 3-gate push. Where it's the Sase style that Day9 discussed in one of his daily recently.
Okay.
But I don't see the gateways coming up so far, and in fact he stopped producing probes at 26, so I mean there's the expansion going down.
Yeah. Okay, so very far we have both a macro game from both players. No silly all-ins this game, even though if you're playing in a series like this, it can actually be a pretty good idea to open up with something that'll throw your opponent off at the early start of the game. Just because it might really confuse him for the coming up games, like, whoa, what's this guy doing? I better play cautious.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the beauty of playing a series. On the ladder, it's always a best of 1, whatever game you play, whereas in the series, of course, you can have these kind of meta game effects, yes.
Mm-hmm. 2 more gates coming up for Patjuh. Nothing special, actually. I don't think that Fububu is actually... Oh, he scouted the Nexus going up, actually. He sacrificed the scouting SCG for that.
Saw that coming in. Fububu, Patjuh is throwing down a proxy pylon, but you see that? See where he's going with his units? He's going to the top. It's like he thinks that that's where Fububu is.
Yeah, it's... I mean,
odd.
if you look at his vision...
He hasn't scouted it.
No, so...
I mean, he has scouted that he's not up there, so I'm wondering why... Maybe he is, like, totally convinced that it's the Blizzard, the non-Blizzard version, but...
yeah.
Alright, now he goes down.
Okay. Oh, now we have a Marine poking up here in the natural of Patjuh, and he's going to take down at least 1 pro, probably another one, because he just spent all his war pins at the proxy pylon, and now he doesn't have anything to defend with, really. Marine only has 1 kill, but he might get a second one here on this probe right here.
Oh. That's exactly what happened to me in my game against Isnobest. I got all my units at the front, and
I
he
think
sent in
Patjuh's
one
gonna
unit.
do some aggression here at
Yep,
the
there
natural
he comes.
Fubu, but he has one bunker and a lot of marines. And,
Oh, and he loses
two
a sentry.
sentries.
He wasn't paying attention, the sentry just walked in, and there's another sentry! Ah, this is the end of the push. He cannot go on because the bunker will get mass repaired. There's no way that he can push through with just those zealots.
Yeah, absolutely. Fubu now sending back his SCVs and his mules back to the mineral line. And, you know, losing those sentries early on, that's a big deal.
Yep.
He warps in 3 more, but it really delays his tech because he has to spend so much gas on it. And now we have 2 bunkers up for Fubu, as well as a bunch of SCVs right next to it. So any push that Patjuh is going to do is going to be really ineffective, I think.
Yeah, he definitely cannot do any damage here. Even without repair on the bunkers, there's no way that these units can push through. And like you said, the loss of those early sentries, that cost him about 4 or 5 force fields, or a guardian shield. So that really...
Yeah,
not
we're now at the 8-minute mark, and his robotics facility is now starting. Had this not happened, the standard timing for an observer would be, well, just about right now. He would have had an observer, and he'd be able to see what Fubu is, you know, is doing. And look at the main of Fubu. He's making a Thor.
Wow.
He's got 3 racks, a Thor, and a starport. I think he's going to go for 2 base, Banshee 4 Marine all in. It's a build I've tried on the ladder, but for so far it hasn't really worked for me. But it's, especially if you can fend off the early aggression like he just did, it's extremely powerful against Protoss. And Patjuh so far has absolutely no idea what's going on.
Nope. So you say a 2-base Banshee Thor all in?
Yeah, it's a legitimate strategy these days. It's happened in the GSL. I'm not quite sure who did it again, but the last time I saw it was in U-Terminal versus Grubby at the WCS Dutch qualifiers. Well, not so much the qualifiers, but the finals, which were held in Germany. And well, it didn't really work for U-Terminal, but you know, he's now making a Raven. He's making armor for his Taurus, and this is the exact build that I'm describing. He's now adding on reactors to his barracks. He can pump his marines so much faster, and you know, this is really the strat. He's gonna make 2 factories, just pump Taurus off these, make a Raven, because point defense drones are really good, and you want that you know, that vision, and then just make Banshees and so many marines.
All right, so we're going to see a push out in the next 2-3 minutes.
No, actually, it's quite late. He's probably going to go for a max out push, actually.
Oh, okay.
Usually it's a 15-minute max out, and then he'll push out. And if Patjuh just plays straight up, and he's being very passive right now, I have to remind you of that. He's just, okay, I think he just killed an observer, so Patjuh should be aware of what happened. Taurus kill observer so fast. But, you know, the best way for Patjuh to deal with this is basically mass Colossus.
Okay, he's building Colossi, so that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm checking his vision though, and he has seen the both the factory and the starport with the tech labs on them, so he might have some idea. But if I scouted that, I would have no idea that there'd be a Thor Banshee push coming in.
Yeah. This is it's a rare build to see, actually, especially on you know, on below diamonds. Basically, nobody ever does this because it's a very precise build order, and he's getting cloak actually. For
See what I'm seeing at the top of the map?
Yeah, that's a really good move by Patjuh to grab an expansion there. He needs the economy advantage because Fubu is going to sit on 2 bases, and that's going to be it. Patjuh is basically carte blanche to just take the map, but even for a 3rd base, this is really late, I feel. He sees his opponent as being extremely passive, and of course expanding is the right move.
A Banshee just flew by one of the observers down south, and I think the observer could have spotted it at the very least, and now it's just hanging. The Banshee's hanging straight in view of the observer, so Patjuh should be ready. Yeah,
he's got stalkers while moving away from his main actually, which is a bit weird. I mean, the Banshee is in his view side, right? He sees the Banshee. So
yeah, there's this little yellow point sticking out on the map.
Yeah. What is he doing with his probes?
Yeah,
he's transferring, of course. But still, you know, looking at the work count, he's only 10 workers ahead of Fububu. His army count isn't that impressive, and he's still, you know, his 3rd hasn't actually kicked in. Of course, the reason he's taking that base up there is because taking a base at his normal 3rd would be very dangerous, because it's such a short distance for Fububu to drop or simply push.
So the Banshees are now showing themselves off to the observer even more, but now continuing on. And Patjuh is going for charge before blink, so he's gonna have a hard time dealing with these Banshees. Of course, he's got the cannons in place, but still, the Banshees can be annoying.
Well, the point of these Banshees is just purely to harass, and there's cannons here now for Patjuh, so I'm not too worried about anything. But yeah, these are just here to annoy. And I can imagine Patjuh thinking like, wait, what are these doing? Oh, he's picking off sentries. That's a really good move.
Brilliant.
I mean, sentries are not that big of a deal, especially if you have force, which just break through them. But yeah, it's a bit of nice harass here by Fububu. Remember that it takes Patjuh APM to deal with these, and it might just impact his macro. And speaking of macro, look at the supply difference.
That is pretty good, pretty favorable to Fububu. Yeah, actually, he's got this 4th and 5th command center already down in his natural.
Yeah, he does.
So
wow.
he's not going all in.
Well, he's probably gonna pull a lot of SCVs, and he's still all 10 SCVs behind.
Oh, there they go.
SCVs.
All SCVs moving in. There's a big move out. The supply depot is getting in the way somewhat, but look at the amount of Thors. That is insane. That's 8 Thors right there.
Yeah, 8 Thors. It's pretty sick. Throwing down more barracks
in the middle of the map. Wow, this is a very hard army to stop. How many Colossi does Patjuh have? He's got 3 Colossi. I'm not
Only
sure.
3.
That's gonna. Ooh.
I don't like to preemptively call GGs, but he just doesn't have the army to deal with this. I mean, Stalkers are just really bad against 4 Marine. And
Fububu's Marines are at 0-0, and his Thor is only at 1-0 though. So in the upgrades, he's got Patjuh's got a slight advantage, but the PDF, the point defense drone, just nullifying those little stalkers that he has, and all the zealots got stuck on the ramp. This is.
He's splitting his Marines quite a bit, but this is still a really bad engagement for Patjuh. He warps in zealots down the ramp, but these Banshees are just going to eradicate the army of Patjuh. And keep in mind, the Marines, they're just disposable. You can just use these Thors to do the actual damage along with the Banshees. And, well, this is basically GG for Patjuh. He has no way of really coming back in this, I feel.
Yeah, you're right. I think that, that was a nice feedback on one of the Thors, though.
Yeah, feedback is actually really strong. Especially Storm is really good because you can get rid of these Marines so quickly. But he just didn't see it coming, I think. Maybe he did, but not in this way.
He wasn't ready. Yeah, there's a GG well played by Patjuh. Alright, that is game 1 already. That was a quick, kind of quick game, 17 minutes. Not fast, but quick.
Not a whole lot happened. I mean, he just did this all in and it worked. It's still a 17-minute game, but it wasn't like a very high action game. I mean, he just poked around a bit with his Banshees.
Yeah.
You're right. That's the power of this build. You just get so much stuff, and you just walk all over your opponent. And especially if your opponent is in a somewhat lower skill bracket than you, then it's just really, really powerful.